Hey guys, hello. I'm just going to be doing a quick live because I've been meaning to do this fragrance addiction tag that I've watched on a couple of channels, and I've put the questions in the description, and also I'll answer any questions you guys have while I'm on here. I don't plan on staying on for too long. And I'll just go through each of the questions. I might wait to see if anyone else rocks up. Hey, Rich, I'm well, thank you. Good. Sorry, I'm just looking at two monitors. I'll try and keep my eye on this one here. My scent of the day is Naomi Gutser Nuit the Bakelit. Probably my favorite tuberose, I think. All right. So I've got these questions written down so I can read them and not have to switch screens and things like that. But I think this tag was started by Emmy's World of Fragrance, and I'll link it into the description. Hey, Mark. I'll link it into the description after I've done the live stream. And I watched Cherie's video on this, and also Chris and Camille over at Making a Stink. Their video was great too. There's 12 questions here, and I'll do my best to answer them. I don't have perfumes here with me that I can show you or whatever, but I will do my best. The first question is, why do I use fragrances? Like, is it a mood booster, habit, compliments, or any other reason? Right now I wear fragrance pretty much as it's habit, but it's kind of habit like putting clothes on in the morning. I almost can't not put a fragrance on to finish being ready for the day. And it kind of, sort of gets me into a mindset, or finishes off. It accessorizes what I want to wear. But definitely, maybe in the beginning, yes, but definitely no, not wearing for compliments. Mood, I don't wear perfume depending on what mood I'm in. I kind of like to let the perfume sort of guide my mood, I guess you could say. Yeah, so that's it. It's not anything particularly special in terms of why I do use fragrances. I do like just smelling different things, and it's like most other art forms, you can get pleasure in a lot of different variety, and I guess it's why people like us who own more than a couple of fragrances really like that variety and being able to see the differences between different fragrances, and I just really like that. How much, this is the second question now. Second question is, how much and where do you apply perfume? So this is interesting because it's kind of changed over the years for me. If I had to just give you an average spray, say, I would do probably 5 sprays on average. Now, it would be less depending on some perfume or more depending on others, but on average, if I had to give you one, it would be five sprays. Now, where I spray it has definitely changed over the years, because I used to be on the chest, sometimes on the neck, like all underneath my nose, and lately, probably for the last 6 months or so, I've been doing behind my nose. So like basically all my sprays would be either back of the neck and up behind the shoulders. And that was for a couple of reasons. I found that I could smell it for longer if it was kind of further away from my nose. So perfumes that I used to think didn't last very long on my skin were in fact because I was becoming nose fatigued, I guess, and that was because it was just right under my nose. And the second reason I started to spray off my chest, so I don't spray on my chest anymore, was because I was beginning to get a little bit of contact dermatitis on sections of my skin where I was spraying constantly on the same spot. And it was just like little, it was getting itchy and irritated, and it wasn't a particular perfume. I think it was just because there was always perfume on there, and that has stopped since I started spraying behind me. So yeah, basically shoulders, back of the neck, and sometimes on my upper arm if I'm wearing short sleeves. I don't really wear spray directly onto my clothes that much, but occasionally I do. There are some perfumes I own that do seem to work better on clothes. All right, third question. Hi, everyone. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Vivi. Hi, everyone that's joined. Robes. Oh, wow. Thank you. That's the first time anyone's done the money thing. I didn't even know that was possible. Thank you very much. All right. I'll try and scroll back later and answer any questions. Third question, how many perfumes do I use a day? The answer is at least 2 and at the most 3. So the reason that is I will, I have a regular kind of hours day in terms of work and stuff like that. So I'll get up, shower, get dressed, and spray. So that's my morning spray. My regular routine, I would normally have a lunch break, and most of the time, this is the time where I might go. There's someone at the door. Just hang on a sec. Thank you. Just got a delivery, but it's not perfume. So most of the time at lunchtime, I would go to the gym, do some exercise or whatever. So generally, I would need to shower after that, and then that would be my opportunity to spray a second perfume on. No, Michelle, it's actually skincare. I would spray another perfume on for the afternoon. So yeah, 2 per day, 1 for the morning and 1 for the afternoon, which means that even perfumes I have that, Mark, thank you. Thanks very much. Even perfumes I have that don't last very long on my skin, I find are perfect for this kind of scenario because they only need to last half a day. So that's why these days performance longevity doesn't really concern me overly much, given the way that I use perfume. So it's twice a day, and if I'm going out in the evening and doing something, I might go for the third one, and if I have to have another shower or something like that. Question 4 is, do I enjoy other perfumed products? The answer is yes. I recently got a couple of, I'll just show you these, diptyque candles. This is my empty Nargile candle. That one was really, really nice, and I highly recommend that. And I also do like to burn incense, particularly on charcoal, on a charcoal burner. And that's pretty much it. I don't. Oh, I've got an oil diffuser as well, so that's one that I use every now and then. But generally, it's candles, because also with candles, what I really like is I'm just addicted to watching a candle burning. Like, I could just sit here, and sometimes I actually find candles too distracting if I've got them at my desk and I'm supposed to be working, because I find myself just staring at the burning flame a lot of the time. So that's it. All right, so question 5 is, what fragrance in my collection best represents my current tastes and aesthetic? I had to think about this, because this doesn't necessarily mean that it's my very favorite perfume at the moment, although the one that I've chosen here is one of my favorites. But it's kind of one that represents where I'm at with my perfume. And the one I'm picking is Equipage Geranium by Hermes. Now, I chose that because I'm kind of at the stage where I'm not kind of blinded by fancy bells and whistles when it comes to perfume anymore. What this particular perfume represents to me is just perfumery at its minimalist, simplistic best. And I'm very much into right now aromatics and a bit of florals, and just something done really, really well and not too showy. And it just smells wonderful. It's classic Hermes, it's classic Jean-Claude Ellena, and I can't think of a perfume at the moment that I really just enjoy wearing as much. All right, let me just catch up on some comments and say hi to some people. Hello, everyone that's just joined. Yeah, Michelle, that I burned that candle very, very quickly. So Lex, hi Lex, nice to see you. Addiction. And I just want to stress that the fragrance addiction name tag for this video, to me, is I think most of us to some extent are addicted to fragrance, which is not a bad thing. I think where a distinction needs to be made is being addicted to buying fragrance, to buying bottles, which is something that maybe all of us kind of go through for a little bit, or still going through. I definitely feel like I'm over the fear of missing, the FOMO, and wanting to accumulate bottles. Like I've gotten rid of 9 bottles from my wardrobe so far this year, and only added 3. And I know it's kind of slow reduction, but this year, for some reason, I've just been less impulsive with buying bottles, and being so much harder on bottles that I have that I don't need. And so I've just gotten rid of them, and a few of them I've just given away because I can't even be bothered selling them. Hi, Eve. Let's see. Better than crack. It is better than crack, Michelle. All right, let's move on to the next question. A fragrance that I love but don't wear often, and why? Okay, so this one was pretty easy for me to answer, even though I am one of these people who like to rotate through my wardrobe. So there is nothing in my wardrobe that can go several months without getting worn. But the one that I find that I really, really like, but is probably the least versatile in my whole wardrobe, is from Slumber House. It's Awe from Slumber House. That is a beautiful perfume, but I find that I can only wear that in like the dead of winter here. It's like just too much to be able to wear in warmer weather. And it's a specific mood. It's very heavy, deep, thick, chocolatey woods, and you can only really wear that at certain times of the year. So I love that scent, but that's the one that I find that I really love but don't wear that often. Hey Tara, hey Chris. Sorry, this was an impromptu live because I thought I've got to strike while the iron's hot. I was in the mood to do the live, and I thought I'd do this, get this tag done, and then everyone can rewatch it. So I'm up to question 7, which is, do I divide fragrance by masculine/feminine, seasonal, or based on any other consideration? In terms of masculine and feminine, no, because I've got just under 100 bottles and probably another 30 or 40 decants and samples that I rotate through. I pay no attention to whether they're marketed for men or women, so that doesn't bother me at all. The only thing I will do, and not necessarily in season, but I do recognize that there are some perfumes that are just better in warmer weather and some perfumes that are just better in colder weather. Although what I find is that because I do wear 2 fragrances a day, and most of the time, even if it's summer here in Melbourne, in the morning, it's still pretty cool. So I can still wear something that a lot of people might think is a winter or cold weather perfume and wear that on a summer day. But then later on in the afternoon, when it gets warm, I might go for something a bit fresher. But it's really the least of, it's like a really minor consideration for me. Like, you know, if I'm happy to wear it, if I'm happy that it smells good. And the other thing too to consider is most of the time I'm in a climate controlled environment, even at home, if I'm in the office, like it doesn't really matter. And like I said, the only time I'll think about it is if I'm in an outdoor setting like a barbecue and it's summer and it's a warm afternoon, I will go for something fresher. All right, I'm just checking. No questions. All right, cool. All right, so number 8, how do I typically purchase fragrances? Whether it's sampling based on reviews, blind buying, or trying to sample in store. Okay, so I pretty much now have stopped blind buying. And because, so most of my recent bottles, and when I say recent, I'm talking about most of the bottles that I've bought in the last 12 months, a lot of them have actually come from blind sniffing samples. So I've been getting sent, I'm pretty sure Chris and Camille mentioned this in their video as well. It's like a lot of people, I get sent a lot of samples by a lot of people who want me to smell stuff. And a lot of times recently, I've had blind sampling. So they're unidentified samples and I just spray without knowing what I'm spraying. And I've ended up buying a few bottles out of that process. But most of the time, my bottles have come from stuff that I've gotten to sample and try. See you, Lisa. Thanks for joining. So sampling is the main way that I come to buy a bottle these days. I don't actually get to sample in store that much because when I do, the stores here only kind of really stock designer stuff and whatever I guess more exclusive brands there are, they're pretty mainstream already. So, like Frederic Malle and Diptyque and Le Labo, Histoire de Parfum. Like I've already smelled a lot of those anyway. So yeah, so most of the time it's sampling what I've received from people I know through here and Instagram. And Chris is making a good point. Blind sampling is the most democratic way to do it, because I know, even after doing it for a few years, I still have unconscious or conscious biases if I know what I'm going to smell. So, if I know the brand, or if I've looked at a note pyramid for a particular perfume and that's what I'm about to smell, I kind of already have these biases, and whether it's in a positive way or a negative way. Whereas if it's blind sniffing, I have no idea what I'm spraying, and it'll be my gut reaction to what I'm smelling. And I've gotten hi Camille, and I've gotten some really like nice surprises out of that. I'm just trying to think. Like the last bottle I bought from a blind sample was Santos Concentré by Cartier, which was beautiful. Never expected to. That was one that I was never going to try unless someone had sent it to me. So that's what I like doing. Are you done with? You're done with Ganymede. Okay. Yeah, I have biases with Killian as well, and Parfum de Mali, and a few other brands, but I haven't blind sniffed any of those that I've liked anyway. Okay, all right, I'll move on to the next one. Hello, Black Lab Denim. Hi, Harris. Smelling on wrist versus in the air. I always prefer to smell on my skin because I'm going to be wearing it. And reviews, not so much anymore, because I think reviews are still useful only if you are watching or reading someone who has similar tastes to you, because then you get a better idea. I mean, if someone I know has similar taste to me, like something, then I'm more curious about trying it. Whereas I'm not just going to take the word of any review that says something is good or not. It's just like, and I don't really, to be honest, I don't actually see a lot of reviews on YouTube anymore anyway, but I'll leave that at that. What fragrance, so this is question 9, what fragrance from my collection was not love at first sniff and took me some time to love? I've mentioned this before when I've talked about it, but this is Habit Rouge from Guerlain. I actually this is one that I tried in store because it's available in stores pretty readily here, probably 3 or 4 times, I think the first couple of times was just to see what the fuss was about. And the first couple of times I just thought, what is the fuss about? And I will admit, I smelled it and thought that, oh, this is dated. And later on, when I started to appreciate it more, I realized it wasn't so much I thought it was dated, but I mentioned it. I mentioned it in my review. I think that this once I realized, really brought back a scent memory for me from when I was a child, and I'm convinced that one of my male relatives, probably an uncle or something like that, wore this, because because I suddenly realized that I recognized this scent, not so much that it reminded me of the scent. This was a scent I recognized, which makes total sense given that Abbey Rouge has been around since the mid-60s. So, and then as I wore it more, I just fell more and more in love with it. I only wore it the other day, and it's just wonderful. It's in my top 5 fragrances easily. All right. Tara, I think the EDT is fine, but I have not smelled. I've got the EDT, which I love, but I haven't smelled the EDP. Okay, question 10. How do I handle fragrance fails and disappointments? I wasn't too sure about how to interpret fails and disappointments because usually a fragrance fail or disappointment for me is maybe something. I'm gonna lump discontinuation and reformulation into this question because my attitude towards discontinuation has always been that I'm not the guy, I'm not the person who's going to get backup bottles in fear. I'm not in fear of discontinuation. There's a side of me that kind of accepts that as like just a fact of perfume life. It's like people dying. If a perfume that I love gets discontinued, I'll enjoy what I have and I'll continue to spray it and wear it and not try and save it. And then when it's time, I'll say goodbye. And it's the same with I'll move on to reformulation. So I guess a part of me is thinking that, you know, I just want to remember how good you were while you were around. And then I know that there are literally thousands of other perfumes that I can move on to. That's kind of my attitude towards discontinuations. Having said that, I'm very, very happy that I have a couple of perfume loves that have been discontinued and I have got like a lot left. And that makes me happy that they're still there. When it comes to reformulations, my attitude is basically this. If I buy a perfume that I previously loved and it is noticeably different, in other words, it's very weak compared to the original one, or even just smells different, whatever. And if it's been reformulated, my attitude is, well, I'm simply not going to buy it anymore. To use the people metaphor again, it's my version of you've changed and I don't want to be with you anymore. So that's it. That's how I handle disappointments in perfume. But those kind of things are just out of my control, and I have to accept that happens, and I'll move on. I'm not gonna mourn that kind of thing happening in perfume. There is always the next perfume love, as many as there are disappointments. I'm going to move on to question 11. I'll just see if anyone's got any questions. No, okay. I'll just move on. Question 11: fragrance on a wish list that I'm not able to purchase and why. So I've got 2 at the moment. One is still a possibility. Well, they're actually both still possibilities. So I don't actually have anything that I don't have on a wish list that I can't buy, right? So I did post something on Instagram a little while ago. So I'm under the pretty much almost certain knowledge that MFK are discontinuing Absolute pour les soins, and I have probably this much left in my bottle, which will still last me quite a while. But if that was one I was already thinking about repurchasing, and now I believe that that has been discontinued. So that's kind of an answer to this question. That would have been on my wish list, because it's probably the closest to being finished right now. The other one is tricky because I still have Dior Eau Noir on my wish list, but it looks like I won't be able to get it until I get myself to Europe. So there's that. They just won't ship here. I think it's only available in the Paris boutique, and I think the Paris boutique can ship within Europe, certain parts of Europe, but I still have to get there to get that bottle. But otherwise, I have nothing on my wish list that I can't already get right now. So Michelle, yes, I believe they've got a cologne version, but from what I understand, it's not really the same as the original Absolute Polissoir. Well, Eve, I think we've talked about MFK, mentioning that, it's the big sellers in that line that get to stay, and I guess for business reasons, that makes perfect sense. The final question in this tag is, what percentage of my collection is niche, designer, celebrity? I'm not going to answer this question because, personally speaking, I'm actually going to try and consciously not even talk about whether something is designer or niche. I might mention if something is indie, artisan, because that still feels like a different subgenre of perfumery. So the way I'm going to answer this question is, I did a quick scan of my wardrobe, and going on Base Notes and Fragrantica. Basically, what I did was check the brands that I own that are owned by big companies, big conglomerates, and then the brands that are still have a level of independence. And when I did that for my perfume wardrobe, I realized that it was a bit half and half. So pretty much half of my wardrobe is, big fragrance companies, and the other half is still independent companies. So there's that. Like I'm a bit tired of talking about what's niche, what's designer. I mean, obviously designer is easy enough if you stick by that definition of they design clothes or whatever other accessories apart from perfume, then fine. But to me it doesn't matter if something smells good. I don't give a rat's ass if it's niche or designer or indie or celebrity. It just doesn't matter. And I think a lot of wasted conversation goes into working out what is what, and this doesn't add any value to me. So yeah, that's it. And and it's good to know the big companies. For me, from an ethical standpoint, it's at least good to know what companies own what perfume you're wearing. If you're a consumer and you have ethical concerns about what the parent company does, then that can guide your decision making when you're purchasing stuff. So I like to know for that reason, but I don't care. I don't care about if something's niche or designer or indie or celebrity. It just doesn't matter. Ultimately, if I like wearing it and it smells good, it just doesn't even come into the equation for me. That's it. All right. So I've answered all the questions, and if you guys have any questions for me, I'm just going to scroll back a little bit. But otherwise, I'm going to keep this stream short and see. Yeah, Michelle, Au Noir will haunt me, but I'm going, once we're allowed to travel again, I'm going over there, and one way or another, I'm going to come home with a bottle of it. I mean it. Yeah, time to musk up. I don't know if Dubai stocks it. Like, my understanding is that it's only in the Paris boutique, the Dior Paris boutique. Um, and so I'll just let you know, this year I've only acquired 3 new bottles. So back in January, I bought a bottle of Oud Palau from Diptyque. Then a bit later on, someone gifted me a nearly full bottle of Latis and Zonka, which I've been looking for. And last week I bought an 80s version of Number 5 Eau de Cologne, which is beautiful, beautiful. I'm very happy to have that. Vladimir, I've tried Derby, but I haven't tried Lupin Voyou. Yes, smash the like button, everybody, like Tara said. Oh, sorry, Cherie. You can replay it. It's okay. Yeah, I get it. Artisan or everything else. I think it's because there is still that clear distinction about what artisan is, and it's easier to differentiate. 62 people. Oh, wow, that's a lot for me. Wow. Rich has bought 3 bottles. Well, that doesn't surprise me about you. Oh, Tara, we'll have to compare notes. I'm up for a twin review if you want. Do I only wear expensive fragrances? No, millennial. I wear, and I really like, Jovan Sex Appeal, and that cost me $8. So no, I don't wear. I don't wear only expensive fragrances. I haven't tried Issey Miyake Ombre Noir. I've heard it's good. Thanks, Mr. Snow. My son is 13, and he wears fragrance every day to high school. He really likes Versace blue jeans. He enjoys Michael Jordan Legend, and he also likes Bentley Intense, which I've given to him. So he's got a couple of my old bottles that I don't wear anymore. My daughter, for Christmas, I bought her Vanilla Blossom from Monotheme, which is really, really nice. Yeah, Sex Appeal, but it's not the only cheapie I've got. Like, the Santos was pretty cheap. Like, I mean, anything under $100 I consider cheap. Not famous. Maybe I need to do more videos out in the street wearing white Speedos. Vlad, I do own Pampaloon. That was cheap as well, and I love it. There is a new diptyque out. I think it's called Ortheon, I think, but I don't know what it smells like. Incense Rose is one of my favorites by Tower Rich. Okay. All right, guys. I am going to give you a minute for any last questions, and then I might disappear and get on with my day, because it's nearly it's 11:45 here in Melbourne, so it's nearly time for lunch. I've enjoyed chatting with everyone again. All right, guys. Love you all. See you soon.